kicking the can down the road or on the road to recovery. I think I know which one. I think. Anyway, we've got the old man here at the moment, and we've not heard from you in a little while. So I think we could probably take this opportunity to rewind back a little bit before we talk about the Bournemouth game. First of all, let's go back to Leicester City. What were your thoughts after that, mate?
I thought we played better than we have done in the past, but I think Leicester are a very poor side. I thought there was the planning before the game was absolute rubbish. I mean, what don't you want Leicester to do? You don't want Leicester pinging balls through to Jamie Vardy and him running in on your goalkeeper, and that happened after what was it, 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And bang, you're 1-0 down and you're chasing the game. We controlled an awful lot of that game. We should never have lost it. But in the end, we did lose to a very poor team, and it gave them confidence to then get a result on Saturday. We should have battered them, and if we had have battered them, I don't think they'd have made the comeback they did on Saturday.
No, for sure. That was a terrible, terrible result. And yes, they got in and around our defence, in behind our defence far too frequently. So moving on to Wolves, El Sacchio or El Sacico. Someone got really triggered to say you're saying it wrong. I'm not saying it wrong. It's made up. So whatever it is, we got the sort of ultimatum match between Gary O'Neill and Lopetegui. How were you? What were your thoughts about the team after that one? And I think in regard as well to Lopetegui's future at West Ham, what was your take on the game?
Well, for once, I did have a little bit of sympathy for Lopetegui because obviously Antonio's car crash will obviously have derailed his plans, and I hope Mickey makes a full and complete recovery. Obviously, I just found the setup strange. Ings to me just does not work starting in the game. He's too slow. He can't press, and it just puts the rest of the team at an incredible disadvantage. We were so lucky in that game. I mean, they had 2 penalties that should have been given. We played reasonably well, but again, we played reasonably well against a side that had no confidence, and we should have buried them, and we didn't. I mean, we were very lucky to get away with a win. It was, thanks to a piece of supreme skill from Jared Bowen.
Yeah, and of course you'd have to say a piece of refereeing, albeit VAR. I couldn't believe it when that Mavropanos decision went to VAR, and then we still didn't end up conceding a penalty. I couldn't actually believe it, and I think sometimes I never go too hard on. I never put too much stock when we lose out on a game that we probably deserve to lose and a VAR decision doesn't go our way, because I think you should win it over the course of the game anyway. So I'm never a great one for blaming referees. I don't do it very much on videos and whatnot, because I also think there's a counter side to that, and that is sometimes you will get lucky, and we did get really, really lucky with that one. And I think for all. It was weird. I think under normal circumstances, without the Antonio situation happening, I think I'd have been very critical of the celebratory nature of which happened after that. But I think so much of it was to do with Antonio. I don't think we'd have seen, that being the case anyway. But I mean, there was absolutely little doubt that I thought I didn't think we were outplayed, and I thought we were the better team. But I do also think if that had been a draw, nobody could have complained.
I agree. The one thing that people didn't, or not many people picked up on anyway, was I think Doherty got away with absolute murder during that game. I mean, it was about his 5th foul where he got booked, and a couple of them before that were quite serious. And I think if he had been booked early on, it would have put a different complexion on the game, because either he would have ended up getting sent off, or he wouldn't have been able to do the challenges that he kept doing. That would have created opportunities. But again, the corner, what did we have? 11 corners and they had none.
Yeah.
And the the only corner that we really threatened on was the one we scored from. So that's a bit of a worry. A few years ago we were scoring lots from free kicks and corners, and that seems to have dried up.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about it because we're almost in a little bit of a purple patch. We had done none. We'd scored no corners. Obviously, this is the best we've been all season because we've actually had a little bit of success in the last 2 or 3 games. From that, we're obviously struggling to defend them, and that still remains the case. I think what was really stark with regards to that was watching Fulham and how Fulham handled Arsenal for the majority of the game, to actually see a manager with a plan to combat it rather than ours. Well, I guess we had a plan. It was just a completely crap one.
And Fulham are not as well equipped to deal with things against Arsenal as we are, because Fulham are quite a small side.
Yes.
We've got plenty of big players. I mean, Arsenal aren't a team of giants. They're just a team that know how to plan things, and they execute brilliantly. They're always, whenever the ball comes in, they're always attacking the ball. And if you're playing a zonal defence or whatever, typically you can't get any purchase because you're not attacking the ball. So therefore, the one who's attacking has always got a spectacular advantage.
Yes, so the one that's moving is going to get the leap anyway. You're going to get bigger momentum on your leap, bigger jump, because you're taking a running jump, a run up to your jump, which is why people do that in athletics. Funnily enough, the ones doing it from a standing start just can't jump as far or as high or whatever. So I take it from your comments, because obviously we've not had you on for a while. You're not convinced. What's your stance on Lopetegui at the moment?
My stance on Lopetegui is, he's David Moyes Mark II. He's not quite as bad as Moyes, because at least he doesn't go to defend a lead as soon as he gets into a lead, and most of his substitutions are fairly sensible, and he does make them a little bit earlier. But he's not the attacking sort of manager that we want. I mean, I really worry about Monday night against Bournemouth.
We'll get to that, because that's
we want attack. We want somebody who's an attacking manager who's got more than one plan, and he's not quite as bad as Den Haag, because after how many games you still didn't know what Den Haag's plan was.
It's Ten Hag, not Den Haag.
Oh,
right?
yeah, Ten Hag. Yeah, I know. I keep saying Den, but
Dennis Haag. He would have been better, wouldn't he? Let's be fair.
As opposed to Postecoglou.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and again with him, you know what his plans are, and he wants to attack. I'd be happy with him as our manager, because at least you get to see decent games. Yeah, it might be a bit frustrating at times, but
you're talking about Postecoglou here.
Yeah,
yes. Just to be clear, you're not talking about Dennis Haag. You're talking about Postecoglou.
Not me old mate, Dan.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Well, I want to talk to you about the Bournemouth game. Before I do, I'm going to please point in the direction of today's sponsor, which of course is Match Bingo. You can see that because it's up the top of the screen there. And now Match Bingo is a way that you guys can win money. We've had over 100 winners already on Hammers Chat, just from you guys watching and joining in. A lot of you have already downloaded it, so if you have done so already, just log in, just check. You might well find you've got a little bit of a balance there. You may well find you've had a win on it. For those of you that don't know what Match Bingo is, it's basically bingo, but then rather than having numbers, you've got events that happen in the game. Easy stuff. Goal kicks, a shot on goal, a throw in, that type of stuff. Now, they'll sprinkle the odd little silly thing in there. It's like, a team to score 2 goals or something like that. But there's 15 events you need to happen in a game. There's 3 rows of 5. First person to get row 1 wins some money. First person that win row 2 wins some money. You've got the prize pot for everything, and then you've got a bonus pot as well. Basically, £250 worth of prize money. It's only £2 per play. But if you go and deposit £10, they give you another tenner. 20 quid there for the price of only £10, but you work that out yourself. Go and check it out. We've had loads and loads of winners. Match Bingo. The link is in the description below. Right, you're a man of who knows lot. Well, basically, the old man lives very, very close to Bournemouth. Very, very, very close to Bournemouth. In fact, we used to live even closer to Bournemouth, didn't we? We used to live we
used to live 3/4 of a mile from the ground.
Yeah, when Harry Redknapp was in charge, and Ian Bishop. Ian Bishop was playing for Bournemouth. Anyway, stories for another day. But suffice to say, we moved down from Ilford when we were younger. Well, I was going to say when I was younger, you were younger as well. It was incrementally. We were both younger at that point. We moved down from Ilford and we moved down to sunny Bournemouth. And you've stayed down there. So a lot of your mates, so you go to games with, know a lot about Bournemouth. How are you feeling about this game?
Oh, I'm absolutely bricking it. I think we're ready made for them to come and beat us. They have lots of fast attacking players. They're incredibly fit. They're probably, I don't know the stats, but they're probably nearly at the top of the sprint stats. They're definitely at the top of the stats for winning games coming from behind and winning games late. I mean, Ipswich, they were 1-0 down in, what was it, the 87th minute and beat them 2-1, and there wasn't even that much injury time in that game. No, I think they're a very good side. I think they're a very good manager. The team appears to be very much together. You don't see any dissent when players get substituted, and I think they've got some very good operators in the team who, and they have lots of different ways of playing. Virtually all the things we don't.
Yeah, he carries himself well, Iraola, doesn't he? He's obviously a young coach, but I think he carries a real authority about him. I got to be honest, I'm jealous, and I just get annoyed that West Ham don't get linked to him at all.
Well, the thing is, this time last year, 15 games in, Bournemouth, I think at that point had won about 3 games, but there'd been 3 of the last 4 or 5 games. He didn't win a game in his first 10. I think he drew 7 and lost 3, or maybe it was 6 and 4. And they were second bottom, and everybody was saying, they should have picked Gary O'Neill. But the thing that was keeping him up was people did like the style of football. But then, literally a year ago, everything changed. And I think if you look at the form stats over the last calendar year, Bournemouth will be up there in 4th, 5th, 6th position. Will have scored bundles of goals, and their defence seems fairly tight. No, all of my friends who are Bournemouth fans are absolutely delighted with the way they're playing and the results they're getting. And they're really worried because Iraola, when he joined Bournemouth, he wanted to sign a 1-year contract. Bournemouth wanted him to sign a 3-year contract, and they compromised at a 2-year in the end.
That's right.
So he will be off ski this summer.
Yeah, well, his contract's actually. His contract is. I think he signed his contract to the end of next season. So yeah, I don't think.
Sure?
I did check it out when we were linked with him.
Okay,
so
well,
I'm as sure as I can be. I looked about a week ago, and I think it ran till 2026.
Okay, well, maybe it got extended at some point when it was convenient to Iraola, but initially it was a 2-year contract.
Sure. Well, look, he's clearly ambitious. He's clearly really, really good. And I only looked at him because, obviously just through doing Hammers Chat and stuff, people ask, and who would you like? And I've had a look at him, and so you do a little bit of research. And his time in Spain was very good as well. So it's not like he's come from nowhere. He took, a second-tier team, and he took them pretty much to the brink of European qualification as well. On a real good coach of players, very, very highly regarded as well. And
it wasn't just a second-tier team. It was a second-tier team, I think, that had never really done anything before. Because, you can have second-tier teams like, Leeds and Middlesbrough now, for instance, in the Championship. They've got some history behind him. I think he took a club that had, were an equivalent to Bournemouth of 10 years ago. They had no history of ever achieving anything. So that, to me, that just makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, I think what annoys me is not only did you get linked with him, you don't ever think or ever get any moment of belief that our club even know who he is.
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
not
he's
even
not
a
on the
contender.
radar.
He's not on the radar at all. And even now, he might just be now. But I do think the sort of stuff I was going to hope would change, to be honest with you. But you never thought that we would know, or even now have a knowledge. There will be someone like him now. There will be someone in France or in Germany or in Spain who's done a similar thing with a second tier team and brought them up and is an innovator in terms of his style of coaching. We won't have a Scooby Doo. I'll tell you, Brighton will know who he is just in case.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think the biggest damning indictment of it is the guy that came in at Bournemouth, the owner, he's an American owner. And he very much came in and said, because Gary O'Neill had done well. O'Neill had done really well to keep Bournemouth up when he came in. And a lot of people were saying you shouldn't have got rid of him. And there was nothing wrong. Gary O'Neill wasn't struggling when they got rid of him, far from it. But the American owner very much said, I remember listening to an interview with him on Talk Sport, and he very much said, no, we want to go this way, and we've chosen to go this way. So they had such faith in their scouting coach, basically the scouting network that identified him as a coach. I think you look at that and you think, wow, and outsiders come in, appears to know more about recruiting coaches than we do. So I think, and that was back then, and I think he's made his reputation now. So you think we're going to lose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it will be something like 3-1. I just think they're, with their speed and they're not reliant on one striker. I mean, one of the questions the start of this season would be, oh, well, Solanke got all the goals from last season. Who's going to replace him? Well, they've got a Brazilian called Ev Nielsen.
Evan Nielsen, yeah.
He's scoring a reasonable number of goals, but he's linking up really well, and they're scoring goals from all over the park.
Yeah.
And they did that pretty well last season as well. And, because one of the reasons that they're doing well is because of their fast players. I mean, Tavernier scored a hat-trick of penalties, didn't he, a couple of games ago?
No, it was Kluivert.
Oh, Kluivert, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, it was Kluivert. But, all of those penalties virtually were caused by, breakaways and people breaking quickly.
They're ruthless. I mean, one of the things, sorry, it's turning into a bit of a moan up, isn't it? But one of the things was Kirkes, us not getting Kirkes when we played against him in Europe, and it was quite obvious. And maybe even go back to the preview on the first leg. We spoke about him in detail on the preview, that we're going to face this player, and he's going to be really good. He's really tricky, and he was really good. Go and get him. We did, and Bournemouth got him, and he just looks absolutely brilliant. But you're right, pacey, wide players. It's great football, but he's a pragmatist as well. He can defend, he can mix it up, but he attacks at pace. It's the sort of, the irony is it's Premier League football that he's playing, fast-paced Premier League football, which is exactly what we're not doing. Anyway, there you go. Listen, mate,
and they're a young side. And they're all playing for the shirt. He's got a squad of about 18 different players that he uses. Nobody is there all the time. I mean, Lewis Cook is a really good central midfield player, but he plays him 3 out of 4 games. He will then come on as a sub or whatever, but he just seems to be a really, really shrewd cookie. If West Ham got him, I would be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, this is the thing though. We only notice, we only seem to notice, particularly managers, when they're past it or they failed, or we're always at the back end of the queue. We're never at the forefront. We're never leading. We don't seem to notice trends. Anyway, listen, thanks for joining us. I know you got to get back to work in 2 minutes, so appreciate that, mate. And we'll get you back maybe next week and find out what you've got to say about that Bournemouth game.
Okie dokie.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.